Hello everyone. I wanted to make this video today about Jehovah's Witnesses who are watching our videos. Not waking up Jehovah's Witnesses. No. The Jehovah's Witnesses that are fully indoctrinated and watching our videos just to criticize what we are doing and everything we're saying. I wanted to speak to these people especially today. Why? Because interestingly, when I have asked some of them why they even bother watching my videos, why they're coming to my channel, some of them have said that they're just trying to preach to me, which is really amazing. And before I say anything else, I want to tell you guys that you are really disobeying your leadership and therefore leading a double life. And before you tell me it's not true, well, next time you go to your kingdom hall, mention to a few witnesses that are around you, mention to them what you're doing when you get back home. Mention to them that you go on apostate channels and watch or don't watch their videos, doesn't really matter, that you go on those channels and make comments below their videos and then see what they say. And I know you won't do that because no matter how good intention you may be, you know that you are disobeying your leadership. At least when I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I never, and I should have, now that I know what I know I should have done that, right? But I was, unlike you, obeying my leadership since I was in this religion. I was obeying the rules, and I never read or watched anything that was against the Jehovah's Witnesses. So whether you know it or not, whether you want to admit it or not, you are leading a double life by coming to our channels. And even if you're telling me you're not watching the video, like some have said, oh, I didn't even watch the video, well, that makes you even more stupid because you are then commenting, saying things about a subject that you have not even watched, which really makes you even more of a fool than anything else. Now, when I ask those guys, why are you even here? Why are you coming to our channels? And then, criticize everything we say and keep being so indoctrinated that we want to cry. Well, what some of them have said to me anyway, it's because they want to try to preach to me. Listen, when you leave this organization, but you're not awake or not awake yet, you have a chance of coming back because you're not awake. You're still indoctrinated. You've left, but you're still indoctrinated. But there is a huge difference when you are actually awake. When you're awake, you cannot go back. It's impossible. A Jehovah's Witness that is awake will never come back, unlike a Jehovah's Witness who have left or who was maybe disfellowshipped because they committed something they were not supposed to. But they never woken up. Those have chance to come back. But once you're awake, it's like I used to believe in Santa Claus, and I know that Santa Claus doesn't exist anymore, and you're trying to make me believe in Santa Claus again. When you're telling me that you're preaching to me, that's what I feel. Those people are really not getting it. And that also makes me sad because it really shows how indoctrinated you are. Because you are so indoctrinated that you actually believe that you can preach your religion doctrines to someone who has completely uncovered their ex-religion, in this case, the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses. So please, if it makes you feel better, maybe because you know you are disobeying your leadership, if you are telling me that you're just here because you're trying to preach to me to make you feel better, I'm sorry to make you feel bad, but that is not a good excuse, because there is no way on earth that you are going to be able to indoctrinate someone that has woken up, okay? Unless we just maybe get into an accident and fall on our heads, there is no chance that not only me, but I think this time I can speak for other people, other ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. We will never, ever, 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 as long as we have our functioning brain, return to this religion. So don't waste your time disobeying your leadership, saying that you're trying to preach to us. It's not going to work. As for you, Jehovah's Witnesses, who are watching our videos, you are really leading a double life. Because as I mentioned earlier, on one hand, you are your little Jehovah's Witness going to your kingdom halls, preaching the good news. And on the other hand, you are actually doing something that is directly forbidden for you to do. So that makes a hypocrite out of you. But I'm not surprised though. And I'm going to tell you why I'm not surprised. Do you know how this saying goes? The apples don't fall far from the tree. Well, as I mentioned in my last video, the fact that you belong to one of the most hypocritical religion there is has to make you a hypocrite, whether you want it or not. And when I think of hypocrisy, I do not need to go far. All I need to do is think of my Jehovah's Witness brother, and I have hypocrisy personified right there. And if you believe that I'm saying this because I don't love my brother, you are wrong. Even though my brother has shunned me for 10 years, I still deeply love him and always will. I guess that the bond that this little girl and this little boy formed when they were little, at least on my end, did not break, will never break. I'll still love him no matter what he does. But at the same time, I know that is the biggest hypocrite I know personally. Not that he's the only hypocrite. He just belongs to a group of hypocrites, so he's not the only one. But the biggest one that I know personally, as I just said. And you know why I'm saying that? Because quite often I imagine my brother knocking on doors on Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, and telling to people, hey, the life that you're living now, it's not good. You need to leave it alone and come and join my religion to be acceptable to God. While I'm shunning my sister for 10 years and don't give a crap if she's dead or alive. Do you think that my brother would be able to say that at the door? No, he wouldn't. What about the elders who know about pedophiles in their very congregations? Do you think that they can knock on people's door and say, hey, by the way, we have one or two known pedophiles in our congregation, and by the way, if you have kids, one of them may be sitting next to them sometimes. Do you think they'll be able to say that at the door to the householder, as you call them? I don't think so, right? So the point that I want to make here, is that as a Jehovah's Witness, because unfortunately you belong to a very hypocritical religion that makes you by default a big hypocrite. My brother is one of them, but my brother is not the only one. He's certainly not the only one shunning his family member, that's for sure. So the reason why you are a hypocrite is because you belong to a hypocritical religion. And while you want to make us feel like we are the worst kind on the planet, us apostates, people who are opening their mouth against the watchtower, I rather belong to this group of people because from what I've seen so far, they are way more honest and good-hearted people than the other group. Because us apostate, as you call us, we, for the most part, have not left because we committed a sin. I have not committed a single sin. We have left because we were disgusted by this religion. And we chose to separate ourselves from this dirty cult. As for you, whether you're doing it by ignorance or willingly, even though you know everything by now that needs to be known about this religion, either way, the fact that you still belong to it makes you more of a bad person than us. Because at the very least, as I just mentioned, it makes you a hypocrite. Because you knock on doors of people not even being able to, even if you wanted to, not being able to tell them the real truth. Because the real truth is pretty disgusting. Now, what's disgusting already about this religion? Well, let's do a little resume of the little disgusting things about your religion, which used to be mine as well. So, nothing personal, right? It's never about you. It's about the religion, the leadership. To start with, your first president, Charles Taze Russell, was and stayed a Freemason while he was supposedly being chosen by Jesus to represent his people on earth. Charles Taze Russell died a Freemason, and just learn about the story of the Freemasons and tell me if it's Christian-like. And if you don't believe that he died a Freemason, well, go to his cemetery, go see his tomb. It's in a Freemason cemetery, and nearby he's got a Freemason pyramid nearby his tomb. And the words Watchtower are on it. That's one thing here. What about the fact that while the Watchtower criticized, and in print even, the United Nations for years and years and years, and in your back and in my back, because I was a witness while they were members of that United Nations. They were members for 10 years. And that, my dear, you can't even deny it because it's all over the internet. You can download the original documents from the United Nations. You don't need to go to any apostate site. Go to the United Nations site and you'll be able to see that the Watchtower, your leadership, was a member of that so hated United Nations for 10 years. And the only reason they stopped is because they were discovered by a journalist from the Guardian newspaper. That's the only reason why. If that journalist had not found them out, they would still be a member of the United Nations. What about the fact that your religion, the Watchtower, is one of the biggest false prophets there is? Why they are a false prophet? Because they have announced the end of this world plenty of times, several times, at least about 5 or 6 times since the late 1800s. And this is interesting because it's in direct contradiction with the Bible, which is supposed to be the book of reference, right, of the Jehovah's Witnesses. Yet, they have made of themselves one of the biggest false prophets because they have announced, like I said, several times since the late 1800s, the end of the world. What about the subliminal images? Whether you are familiar with the subliminal world or not, that's another story. There are some people that don't even believe that there are some subliminal images put in front of them all day long. And if they want to stay ignorant this way, that's okay. That's their choice. But I'm telling you that there are plenty of subliminal images that are created by the Watchtower, by the artists that work for the Watchtower. And those subliminal images, by the way, the fact that something is subliminal doesn't even mean it's bad. You can use subliminal images, whether it's audio or visual, for good stuff, for good things. But the problem with the Watchtower is that they are using subliminal images in a very, very negative way, because they have 2 kinds of subliminal images, and I have made a full video about that. And those images are either pornographic or demonic. What about that? Want to deny it? That's fine. You can deny it until the cows come home. But at the same time, since they do exist, well, your brain is fed subliminally dirty images, pornographic and demonic images by the Watchtower. And all of your literature, every piece of literature of the Watchtower has them. Any Watchtower, any Awake, any of your books and other brochures, we have found subliminal images in them. And what about that? What about the over 20,000, I think close to 25,000 pedophiles cases that have been reported to the governing body, not to the police, but to the governing body, and that they have made sure were not reported to the police? What about that? What about the fact that there are today some pedophiles knocking on doors of people with children? And why is that the case? Because Jehovah's Witnesses, the Watchtower, refuses to report pedophiles because of their stupid 2-witness rules. And we all know that there is no pedophile that is going to be stupid enough. They're sick, but they're not stupid. So they're not going to be stupid enough to rape a child in front of someone else, so he could be a witness to that. As a matter of fact, I could go on and on with that list. There are many more things that you can find out that are not so clean, to sometimes downright disgusting about your religion. But, the few that I mentioned here are more than enough to prove to anyone that is willing to have an open mind, at least, to see that they are not, at the very least, that they are not in the true religion. At the very least, at the very least, you should be able to understand with all those proofs that you are just in a religion, in another religion, but that your religion has nothing special whatsoever. As a matter of fact, another thing, when your governing body members, Jeffrey Jackson, was asked the question if he believed that he belonged to the only religion that led to God, what did he say? He said it would be presumptuous to say such a thing. And it is. And the reason he said that, actually, even though it was one of the most shocking thing he said, even though I'm not even a witness anymore, I was shocked when I heard him say that. At least he said the truth. He said the truth. Yes, it would be presumptuous to think that you belong to the only true religion, or the only religion that leads to God, which means the same thing. Indeed, it is pretentious, and indeed, it's not true. You don't belong to the only true religion because you just belong to another religion, which even happened to be a cult more than it is a religion. Either way, they're all the same to me. But the thing is, you need to wake up, and you need to stop judging people that have left this religion because they've woken up, because they've fully realized that, this religion is nothing good for them or for their fellow men, and they've decided not to share in it and with it anymore. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like it, share it, comment. I'll be glad to see your comments. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye now.